Hello and welcome to piano lesson number 7. My name is Anna Whistler and I am a pianist and a piano teacher. If this is your first time here and you'd like to start learning piano with me, you can click this link, which will take you to the first lesson in my series. So in lesson number 6, we started learning how to play the left-hand chords for Twinkle and getting comfortable doing the left-hand pattern, adding it eventually to the right hand and playing hands together with the right hand doing the melody, the left hand doing the chords. And I also introduced an additional warm-up variation that you can use. In today's lesson, I'd like to take the chord structures that we worked through last time and introduce some different ways of playing through them to give you different types of accompaniment in the left hand. So today what we're going to do is we're going to work on not playing the chords at the same time with all 3 notes going down, but actually rolling through. And it's just going to give it a different feel in terms of the atmosphere of how you're playing it, but also it's going to feel very different in your hand to do it that way. So without further ado, let's dive into the lesson. All right, so last week we added in the left-hand chords to our Twinkle Theme. And just as a reminder, let's take a look at what these chords are, just to make sure we have all the notes in our fingers. So left hand, we have 3 chords. We have C chord, which is our pinky. Now this is the 3rd C, counting up from the bottom. Our middle finger on E, and our thumb on G. The next chord we had is an F chord, and it's in what we call an inversion, which is basically just a different sort of order of the 3 notes of the F chord. So we keep our pinky on C. Our 2 finger is going to play on F, kind of where it falls naturally anyway. And then our thumb is just going to stretch over to A. And then the 3rd chord that we had is an inversion of a G7 chord. So our pinky is going to step down to B, 2 finger on F, thumb on G. So all in all, we have C, F, G7. Now last week we were aligning these chords. First of all, we were playing the left hand, all 3 notes of each chord simultaneously, and we were aligning the chords with the right hand melody. Well, this week what we're going to do is we're going to play the chords, but rather than play the notes all at once, we're going to kind of roll through them, bottom, middle, top. So where we had 1 chord in the left hand, what we're actually going to do is for each note in the right hand, we're going to roll through 1 time. So it's going to be like this. Now when I go to my F chord, it's going to be the same thing. Always bottom, middle, top in the left hand. Okay, so don't expect to be able to play it that smoothly and at that tempo right away. If you can, amazing, great, but don't worry if that is a little bit too much to bite off all at once. What I would suggest, first of all, is just focusing on the left hand alone, getting comfortable doing this bottom, middle, top on each chord. So just pick 1 chord maybe and really roll through it until you feel very comfortable. You can maybe even do it while talking or reading something, or so basically that you don't really have to think about it too much. And then pick another chord and do the same thing. you may even notice just technically, because I haven't talked about it a little bit at all actually yet, but when you're going at the speed that I'm going right now, you want to make sure that you don't tense up at all, and that you don't have any tension, especially in your wrist. So I'm ever so slightly, I'm just making tiny, tiny, tiny little wrist circles. So just something to keep in mind. If you feel yourself while you're doing these exercises starting to get tired or tense, check and see if your wrist is tight. That's probably going to be the reason, and just try to make little circles with the wrist as you're going bottom, middle, top, bottom, middle, top, and that will really help keep your hand relaxed and loose. So once you get comfortable rolling through each of these, then try following the chord pattern, which if you don't remember, I listed the chord pattern in its entirety in the description box in the last video, so in video number 6. So then you'll want to go through the whole chord pattern and seeing if you can particularly make these transitions from one chord pattern to the next smooth. Because often what happens is we'll get comfortable doing one pattern isolated, we'll get comfortable doing another pattern isolated, but then when we have to move from one to the next, that's where things get a little tricky. So we want to practice the transitions as well. So once your left hand is feeling very, very comfortable, then we're going to think about adding the right hand, but don't say, okay, I'm going to add the whole first phrase. Just pick literally one note of the right hand and say, I'm just going to do one right hand note with one bottom, middle, top in the left hand. And see how that goes, right? Because now we have more to think about here. The left hand is busier than it has been in other lessons. So if that goes well, then just try adding literally one note at a time of the right hand. And then, see if you can keep track of which chord your left hand has to line up with the right hand. So I would just work through it piece by piece. Again, the goal is not necessarily to get to this point very quickly, but to get there confidently. So take your time, really work through the left hand, getting those rolls of bottom, middle, top very comfortable. And then the more comfortable you are with that, the easier it's going to be to put together with the right hand. And then ideally, by the end of a week or 2 weeks, you should be able to play through slowly, comfortably, the whole Twinkle with these bottom, middle, tops. I'll do that now just so at kind of like a medium tempo, just so you have something to gauge as a benchmark. And then I'll show you how I sort of wind down the left hand at the end. So here's a little example, and feel free to play along with me when you feel comfortable. All right, so I would say actually that was, to be fair, maybe more than a medium, a medium tempo, a little bit on the faster side, but a good goal to aim for. And if you are there already, that's wonderful, and you can aim to take it a little bit faster if you want. Great job on piano lesson number 7. We're really getting into it now with some new variations and figurations with the left hand, so it's really good, and you've done some great work so far, so you should be proud of yourself. For this week, what I would say is to practice the left hand alone with the new figuration. If it's comfortable, 2 to 3 times, and then slowly try to add the right hand. I would aim for maybe 10 minutes would be good. And then if you have time, I always encourage students to review the work that we've done in previous lessons. You've worked hard on learning those things like the rhythmic variations with both hands. So we want to keep those in our fingers. And then as we continue going and learning not just other twinkle things, but other pieces as well, if you can keep up with the reviews, then at a certain point you're going to have really a nice selection of pieces in your fingers to be able to sit down and play at any time, which is really, really great. So I know I didn't introduce a new warm-up this week, but I think we have a fair number of them under our belt already. So always feel free to change it up every day, try something different, and mix it up just to keep it interesting for your brain as well as for your fingers. And good luck with practicing this week. As always, if you have ever any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comment box below, and I will see you at our next lesson.